Good evening, TV show lovers of the interwebs. I'm Alexa, resident Ookie Spooky Girly and lover of weird, TV show history. Honest to goodness, I think that, when the powers that be let me talk about weird shows, they know I just need a brain break to have fun. And while today's content might be absolutely heinous, I had the biggest blast narrowing down the worst of the worst to make this list. So I got a question for you. What's a show you think should be wiped from existence? Personally, I can think of a couple of the ones on today's list that might, want to just go, but let me know what you think in the comments. Also, I just want to voice a disclaimer before we get started. Today's content will be a little iffy, so please just watch at your own discretion. Okay folks, are we ready to have our minds warped? I certainly hope so, because welcome to the top 5 controversial shows too dark they were banned from airing again. Number 5, Kid Nation. So, when I got told, hey Alexa, this is what you're looking up today, this one was like, alright, we're in the brain. So if you're unaware of this show, let me paint you a picture. It's 2007. There's a big Hollywood writer's strike, and you're a TV producer scrambling to make content. Welcome to the era of reality TV 101. Now, while shows like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, The Amazing Race, and Jeopardy are pretty much household names, there was also a whole slew of lesser known shows that kind of popped up during that time. No, I'm not calling Jeopardy a reality show per se, but you get what I mean. And don't worry, this isn't the only reality show I'm going to be talking about, it's just a special interest, ergo why it's kicking off the list. For the sake of interweb rules, from here on out I'm going to refer to this particular show as Nation, or just the show for safety. So the premise is pretty straightforward. 40 youngins ranging in age from this to this have been brought to the abandoned ghost town of Bonanza City to create a working town. They're eventually separated into 4 teams, and depending on how they placed in the group challenges the week prior, are either the upper class, merchants, cooks, or laborers for that week. There's also a town council of 4 leaders, and each week they decide which of their townspeople to award a gold star to worth $20K. Also at that same town council meeting every week, contestants are asked if they want to leave the experience and return home, and over the course of the series only 3 do so. The show doesn't start off easy, by the way, with the contestants having to truck supplies for a couple of miles to get them to their new town and setting up said town. If you're drawing comparisons to Lord of the Flies, don't worry, you're not alone in that front. At the time, the show raised questions about the appropriate minimum age of participants in reality shows. The contestants were signed on contracts requiring them to be available for filming for 24 hours a day through the 40-day filming period. The Federal Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 normally limits the number of hours that young folks can work in a day, but has exemptions for those involved in film and television production, leaving it to certain states to regulate those further. At the time of filming, New Mexico had passed a law to limit young folks' participation in film and television productions to 9 hours a day while Nation was filming, but it did not come into enforcement until a month after filming completed. However, New Mexico had other general labor provisions that limited folks under the age of to a maximum number of hours per week or day unless previously cleared with the state, which CBS, who created the show, didn't get. Now, adults were on site with the younger folks, but the nature of how the adults supervised them made it appear that the youngins were unlawfully engaged in labor under New Mexico law, according to the state. Now, the producers challenged these claims by declaring the set a summer camp rather than a place of employment. Now, this was further questioned by the state, as there are additional rules related to camp operations set by said state that were not followed by production. Don't worry everybody, the loopholes have since been closed, but damn. Oh, by the way, health issues were also raised. Parents were required to sign a 22-page waiver that disavowed any responsibility on CBS or production for any harm from any medical care given to the contestants. Let's take contestant Divad Miles, for example. They were burned when grease splattered onto her face while cooking a meal. So her mother, Janice, kind of called for investigation into violations of labor laws, which was eventually dropped. Now, YouTuber JonTron interviewed Jimmy, the first contestant to leave the game in 2020, and Jimmy criticized the harsh conditions that the production crew placed upon contestants, such as making them cook their own food without any kind of recipe or guidance, wash their own dishes, the poor sanitary conditions. Oh yeah, there was only one outhouse for 40 youngins and no showers until the first, town council meeting, and poor sleeping conditions. We're talking not even like a cot, just like a little thin mattress on a wood floor. He also confirmed that on 2 separate occasions, ambulances were called because one person accidentally consumed bleach from an improperly rinsed container. Seriously, we all thought this was entertainment? Number 4, seriously dude, I'm gay. If I was a cartoon character, after reading about this show, I would have either had a storm cloud above my head or steam pouring out of my ears. Easily. So Fox thought they'd capitalize on the rise of queer media in the mid-2000s by revealing every heterosexual male's worst nightmare, turning gay overnight. Yeah, that was a sensationalized tagline. So the show was about two men pretending to be gay to their friends, family, and other loved ones. They'd have to prove their sexuality by living with an actually gay roommate, going to gay clubs, and performing daily challenges. These challenges included swimsuit modeling for a group of gay men, confiding in a former teammate that the contestant wrestled due to an enjoyment of close contact with sweaty boys, fork feeding dinner to a blind date, and convincing the date to, make of that what you will. Oh, making a gay face, by the way, and also naming a favorite male adult film actor. Now, the most convincing man would win $50,000 and, draw the ire of anyone who thought they'd actually come out. Not that either contestant got the chance, though, seeing as the 2-hour special was pulled from the schedules 11 days before it was meant to debut. Now, I'm not sure if I want to go on a venting spree or just scream after saying all of that. The show was obviously met with fierce criticism from, advocacy groups such as GLAAD, who proclaimed it promoted a negative portrayal of gay men, which I agree with. The press release also received backlash, particularly the line that described the special's premise as a heterosexual male's worst nightmare, turning gay overnight. I don't care if I already said that. I'm going to repeat it many times today because it's extremely awful no matter how you look at it. As an openly bi girl who deals with my own fair share of stereotypes and nonsense, shame on you folks. Shame on you. Now, this wasn't the only homophobic reality show from the time, sadly. A dishonorable mention goes to Playing It Straight, a show that followed Jackie Thomas, a 21-year-old college student, as she was pursued by a group of 14 men. Upon arrival to location, it was revealed to Jackie that the group consisted of both straight and gay men. Through a series of individual and group dates, she was required to eliminate men from the competition who she believed identified as gay. If she ultimately selected a straight man, then the two split a reward of $1 million. But if she, was like, no, I like the gay guy, well, he would win the reward. Well, I can see the blatant issues with this. Anybody else? Number 3, black, white. Look, I can't say for sure whether America's Next Top Model got the idea that race-swapping models for episode challenges was okay, but seeing as this show came out in 2006 and promoted the idea that it was a-okay, I think I can put 2 and 2 together and make 4. The series premiered on March 8th of 2006 and supposedly documented 2 voluntary families of 3, one white and the other black, in which, through studio quality makeup, the 2 families would give off a facade appearance of portraying a race that isn't their own for social experiment purposes. The show was produced and created by Ice Cube and RJ Cutler, and the series theme song was Race Card, performed by Ice Cube himself and produced by Warren G. At the time, and to this day, the show continues to receive mixed reviews and plenty of criticism. Robert Bianco of USA Today said that the show was being sold on the race switch trick, but the premiere was built around a far more mundane stunt, putting people won't get along into close-quarter situations designed to exacerbate the inevitable conflicts. If you think there's any chance that the 2 men, Brian and Bruno, weren't cast specifically to clash, or that the producers weren't playing up every single conflict, yeah, you've never seen a reality show. This show was based on 2 false premises, one more, interesting than the other. That you can understand somebody of a different race simply by putting on makeup, and that you need that kind of understanding in order to treat people as, law and morality require. Like, it's not hard to be nice to people. Oh, and fun or not so fun fact, this series won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Makeup for a series in 2006, which I'm questioning. Number 2, Turn On. This show didn't make it through a single episode before it was pulled off the air after only 11 minutes. Well, that's more than Dude, I'm Gay. Alrighty, I don't think my eyes can roll more today, so let's just see what the heck this one's about, shall we? The experimental show blended offensive and raunchy sketches, stop-motion, animation, puppets, and synthesizer clicking, and audiences were not a fan. After one too many phoned-in complaints from miffed audience members, an ABC affiliate in Cleveland quickly cut the airing, infamously telling ABC, "If your naughty little boys have to write dirty words on these walls, please don't use our walls." Other affiliates followed suit, and the show was cancelled, with an already filmed second episode never making it to air. In case you were wondering how it was offensive, the sketches involved blackface, JJJ members in the audience, with the hoods, yeah, and a Star of David telling a Christian monk, "Well, we'll forget about Auschwitz if you reduce the charges to manslaughter." Other sketches joked about foot fetishists, birth control, the upsides of domestic harm, and a woman offering sexual favors to a firing squad about to, end her life. Remember, this was 1969. Most of this stuff would be seen as inappropriate for primetime TV even today. Well, my eyes aren't rolling, but my jaws definitely hit the floor. How in tarnation did anyone think this was okay? Like, sure, the gay shows I talked about earlier were bad, but at the time, queer folks and queer culture was sadly the butt of a lot of jokes, so I wasn't shocked so much as disappointed. I honestly think this is the first show today to actually shock me. Number 1, Hi Honey, I'm Home. Okay folks, based off of context clues here, what do you think this one's about? yeah, this was just a bad idea from the beginning. But somebody at the BBC thought in 1990 that it was workable enough to film a full series. It was a spoof of 1950s US sitcoms, as the evil German dictator and Eva Braun had to learn to get along with the Goldsteins, their new Jewish neighbors. Pardon me, yeah, I'm making a face. This one takes the cake for the most heinous show today in my book. Its single broadcast episode played out more like I Love Lucy, with the evil dictator sounding like he came from Brooklyn, not Austria. Nevertheless, it was detested as soon as it was shown and cancelled, with the remaining episodes locked away. All that's known about them is that they would have featured other cuddly characters like former UK Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, Soviet director Joseph Stalin, and Hermann Göring turning up for the Christmas special. Stalin? I'm sorry, was Vlad the Impaler busy? How about Pol Pot? Leopold II? Mangala? Good grief. And that brings us to the end of our time, and I think I speak for all of us when I say my head is spinning and will continue to do so for the rest of the day. Oh, by the way, let me know in the comments if you want a part 2, because this is just about the surface of heinous shows that need to be talked about in history. Also, I highly recommend watching some of the other videos I've done on awful shows if you still want nightmarish content. On that note, folks, if you enjoyed my ramblings today, or were entertained, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribe if you aren't already, hit the bell for more demented TV content from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.